Hello, my name is Braden Phillips, and I am here with Sergeant Nally. We will be asking some questions, and he will be answering them for anyone who's interested in the military. So we have about 9 questions that I'm going to ask. Starting off with the first one is, what type of jobs are available if I enlist?
That's a great question. There are 150 jobs full-time. There are 120 jobs part-time. So it depends on what you have an interest in. It could be anywhere between medical, it could be food, driving, computers, mechanic, operating room specialist, hacking. It just depends on what you have a feel for. It just depends. There's 3 things that comes when it comes to the jobs. 3 things that have to happen. 1, you have to take what they call the ASVAB, which is the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. You have to take a sports physical and a background check. Those 3 things determine on what job that you qualify between those 150.
And do you need, for many of those jobs, do you need to go to college, or just graduating high school would be good?
You can have a GED, you can have a high school diploma, or you can have a college degree. All the jobs that we have are entry-level positions.
All right, thank you. The next question is, if anyone is in a JRTC program, can that benefit them in the military?
That is a great question, and yes, it can. If a young man or a young lady has at least 2 years of JRTC, that can help he or she to get promoted from E1 to E2. If they have 3 to 4 years of JRTC, they can get promoted from E1 up to E3. So yes, it is a great advantage for those that complete it successfully. Then yes, it will help he or she to actually get promoted before as they join the Army or Army Reserves.
So they can get 2 promotions from an E1 to an E3 at a boot camp,
Yes.
right?
Yes, if they meet the qualifications, that's correct.
It's pretty good. And then the next question is, what can help me get into a school like West Point? Like, what can I do now in high school to get me prepared?
That's a great question. Now, if you're looking at West Point, for any young man or young lady that's looking at West Point, that is a program that you want to start looking at in your sophomore year. You want to start looking at the actual qualifications. You have to get references. You have to make sure that you're doing exceptional in your grades. You got to make sure that you're confident as an individual for leadership abilities. You got to make sure also you're physical fit as well. So it's a lot of factors when it comes to West Point when it's coming. So it's not something you look at during your senior year. If you're looking at West Point your senior year, you're behind the times. So if you're looking at West Point, I strongly encourage you to start looking at your sophomore year, start looking at all the programs and all the things that's going to line you up to make you a great candidate.
Would that be the same if someone was interested for VMI?
Yes, you definitely, in those prestigious schools, you want to be proactive versus you don't want to come your senior year and say, oh, I'm going to, no, that's likely of that, it's not happening.
And should you get involved in your community doing like community service to benefit or get you higher on the list to enter those schools?
Yes, volunteer is it's another key trait of leadership, because not only you just doing your job, but also things serving your community as well. So yes, that is a good look on your actual application.
All right, thank you. The next one is, are you able to pick where you get stationed if you join?
No, you get to pick the job, which you're training, but based on when you're going to be stationed on, you'll find out towards the end of your training after you finish what they call basic training, which is like 10 weeks. And then you have what they call AIT, which is your job training. AIT stands for Advanced Individual Training. Towards the end of that training is when you'll find out where you're going to be stationed at, which you could be stationed anywhere in all 50 states, or you could be stationed overseas, Italy, Germany, Korea, Guam. So it just depends. But to answer your question, no, you don't get to pick.
Are you able to, what's the word? Are you able to like say where you would like to be stationed, or is that
now,
not?
They have a thing what they call a wish list.
Yeah.
Okay. And on this wish list, it says I want to go to this state, this state, this state, and I want to go overseas. Now, 99% of the times you won't get anything on that wish list. Just being honest. Some people are fortunate they get it, but a lot of times you don't. Now, once you get into the Army, and they have folks that manage your career, once you get in now, you can communicate to he or she and make some requests to place you want to go. But initially, if you get it, you're fortunate. If you don't, just understand that's just the way it goes.
All right, thank you. The next one is, if you enlist with a buddy, would you stay with them through boot camp and might be working with them once you get out?
Now, yes, we do have, which is another great question. Every question you asked so far is great. We have what you call a buddy program. Now, on that buddy program, there's a lot of factors, and I always like to put this out there for people to let them know. If you and your buddy both take the ASVAB, okay, the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, and one score a little higher, and the other one scores a little lower, then that person that has a higher score is going to have to find a job that's fit with the person with a lower score. Now, yes, you go to basic training. Yes, you'll go to job training, and you might get to your first duty station. But the thing is, when you go to these training, you might not be in the same platoon or the same squad. So you may have going to the same training, but sometimes I tell people, be very cautious when you're doing the buddy program, because sometimes that buddy program might turn into not so much of a buddy program. Because if I didn't want to do a job, but I had to pick it because I want to be with you, and I don't end up being with you, then I might be a little disgruntled. But to answer your question, yes, you can do that.
Okay, thank you. The next one is kind of like a two-parter. If you enlist, is there a bonus? And then is there also a bonus if you completed your 4 years of ROTC?
All right, now as far as for the bonus, now on the active duty side, which is full-time, there's a bonus up to $40,000 if you qualify. On the reserve side, which is part-time, there's a bonus up to $20,000 if you qualify. But it depends on how you test, depends on your physical, depends on your background, and it depends on what job that you pick, which determines on what bonus that you're entitled to. Every job doesn't have a actual bonus attached to it. And the word that we use for a job is called an MOS. It stands for Military Occupational Specialty for those for the military lingo. So it just depends on what you pick. Some jobs may have it, some jobs may not. Now, as far as the ROTC, that's not what we call a bonus. We call it more of a promotion. So if you have 2 years or more, then you'll go from making it from an E1 up to an E2 or up to E3 rank, and that's just additional pay. That's not necessarily considered a bonus. It's just you advance a rank.
Okay, thank you. The next one is, are there any jobs in the military that can get you prepared for civilian life if you decide to leave?
Well, that's a great question. Now, every job in the military is a preparation for the civilian life. It just depends on what type of job you're looking for specifically or what you're looking at to do after the military. Because each job that you do in the military, no matter if you're a cook or if you work on computers, if you're a mechanic, one thing about the military, we're always about leadership. So one thing in the civilian sector, they're always looking for great leaders to lead their company or their organization. So that's something that's always going to be instilled with you, no matter what job or what position that you do.
Okay, thank you. I think we got two more. Number 8 is, does the military reimburse you for college?
That's a great question. Now, as you come into the Army, you got 2 different programs. You got the active duty and you have the reserves. Both of these programs have what they call the GI Bill. One is more for full-time, and you have one more that's for the part-time. So if you come in for active duty, and say you do a minimum of 3 years, they have a thing called the Post 9/11 GI Bill. The Post 9/11 GI Bill will pay any tuition for any public college you want to go to. So for instance, say if you want to go to Pitt, Pitt, and you get out the Army, you do 3 years, the Army will pay the whole tuition for Pitt, plus they would give you a stipend while you're going to school and money for books. So it depends. So as far as reimbursement, but to answer that question, we have what they call student loan repayment. So on that full-time or active duty side, it's up to $65,000 if you qualify. On the reserve side, it's up to $50,000 if you qualify. So it depends. We have different options when it comes to that. But the last thing is we have a thing called tuition assistance, which is on the active duty and the Army Reserve side. That's $4,500 a year to go straight for college purposes only. So we have several different options when it comes for college.
Okay, thank you. The next one is, what's the difference between a 2-year and 4-year commitment to the military?
The difference between a 2-year and a 4-year is just, it's just that time. You can do a minimum of 2 years, and you can do a minimum up to 6 years. It's just, if you do 2 years, when it comes to like your college and stuff like that, then that stuff is kind of prorated. Once you do 3 years or more, you get the full benefits of everything. So it just depends on what you want to do, but it also depends on what job you pick. If you pick a certain jobs may require that you do 4 years or 5 years. So it depends on what you want to do. It depends on what job. Like some medical jobs, you can't just do 2 years because that training might be a year long. Because when it comes to the job training, it could be anywhere between 7 weeks long up to a year long. So it depends. Also, I wanted to go back on the school thing because I forgot one thing, one major piece. Also, we have a thing they call a Minuteman Scholarship opportunity. So for young men and young ladies that are seniors and they're looking at graduating from high school and going to college, if they have a minimum of a SAT score of 1,000, or they have an ACT score of a 19, and they somewhat active and they motivated, they don't mind doing ROTC in college, that can help them get a full ride for college. We have helped people at Clemson University, Duquesne, Chatham, Pitt, all different colleges out there, North Carolina A&T, so it's just also another option out there as well. So I want to make sure I put that out there as far as about college as well.
Okay. So you mentioned that ROTC can help you pay for college. For places like VMI and West Point, is the tuition free if you get into those schools?
If you get accepted, then yes, they will. If you get accepted, that's why I said you want to start at your sophomore year to look in those programs. If you get accepted, because like I said, you got to get references with different places. So yes, they would pay for the whole tuition as well.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have. Are there any questions you have?
Well, not necessarily questions, but as far as when it comes to the military, and as I tell everybody, every young man and young lady, and also their parents, is to do your homework and do your research. Look and see what's out there. There's a lot of different opportunities that can help you get to the next level. And there's a lot of things that help you with certifications for those that want to fly, those that want to become a lawyer, or different things, depends. So it's a great option, to look into. But as I always tell people, make the military just a part of your conversation. Look into it and see how it can benefit you. And, as long as you give it a good look over and you actually investigate and really see how it's out there and how it can benefit you, then it's an opportunity. But we know that it's not for everybody, but just look into it and see how it works for you.
Yep.
So,
okay, thank you for joining me.
no problem.
Thank you for answering the questions. That's all I have for you.
Hey, you did a great job.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.